You start your truck on a cold morning. You pull up to the first red light, and 30 seconds later, the engine shuts itself off. You didn't turn the key, you didn't push a button. You don't have to be sitting still for long. You just have to take your foot off the gas and the truck decides it has heard enough from you. This is not a malfunction, this is a feature. It is called Auto Start Stop, and it was installed in 62% of every new vehicle sold in the United States in the 2023 model year. You did not ask for it, you probably cannot permanently turn it off, and the people who put it in your truck are now walking away from it. In this investigation, we are going to expose the credit trading scheme that forced this system into your engine, the class action lawsuits alleging it can leave you stranded in an intersection, the AGM battery tax that has doubled the cost of starting your own vehicle, and the anti-idling laws that now make leaving your engine running a finable offense. The first villain on our list is the regulator. For more than a century, you decided when your engine ran. You turned the key, you held the throttle, you let it warm up on a cold morning. The driver controlled the ignition. That was the whole point of owning your own truck. Then, beginning around the 2017 model year, something quietly changed in nearly every new vehicle sold in America. The engine started making the decision instead of you. Not because customers asked for it, because the EPA was paying for it. Auto Start Stop technology has never been federally mandated in the United States. It is voluntary. But automakers who installed it received fuel economy compliance credits under the Corporate Average Fuel Economy program. Those credits could be applied against fines for the rest of their fleet. The math was simple. Stick a piston-firing computer onto every new car, claim a 4% to 5% improvement in EPA fuel economy, and dodge a much larger fine on the gas guzzlers in the lineup. About 2/3 of cars manufactured today have the system. Then, in February of 2026, the Trump administration announced the EPA would eliminate the credit. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin claimed the regulatory rollback would save consumers an average of $2,400 per new vehicle. Almost immediately, the auto industry signaled it would begin removing the feature from the new vehicles. CBS News reported the technology could gradually disappear from new cars. CarBuzz reported that with no fuel economy fines and no credit incentive, automakers would likely drop the system. Read that twice. Automakers are abandoning the feature the moment the regulatory carrot disappears. That is the tell. If a feature was actually saving you money on fuel and was actually helping you, automakers would keep installing it because customers would pay for it. They are not keeping it. They are dumping it. Which means the entire system was never about your gas bill. It was about a paper credit traded between an automaker and the federal government. You were not the customer. You were the compliance vehicle. But while you had no choice in getting the system, you absolutely have a choice in paying for the damage it does. And that damage is the subject of multiple class action lawsuits. For 100 years, when you released the brake at a stoplight, the truck moved. That was the deal between the driver and the machine. The engine was already running. Your foot translated directly into motion. The idle stop system breaks that deal. After 2 seconds of sitting at idle, the system shuts your engine off. When you release the brake to pull into the intersection, software has to do a small miracle in milliseconds. Fire the starter, spin the crankshaft, deliver fuel, build compression, restore oil pressure, and re-engage the transmission. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In Honda and Acura vehicles, this is now the subject of a consolidated class action. The lawsuit alleges that the idle stop system in vehicles equipped with the NP0 engine and the 9-speed transmission shuts off the engine and then fails to restart when the driver releases the brake. The original NHTSA investigation was triggered by 220 complaints from Honda Pilot owners. In March of 2025, NHTSA upgraded the investigation to cover over 2.2 million vehicles, including the 2016 through 2025 Honda Pilot, the 2018 through 2025 Honda Odyssey, the 2019 through 2025 Honda Passport, the 2020 through 2025 Honda Ridgeline, the 2015 through 2025 Acura TLX, and the 2016 through 2025 Acura MDX. In January of 2023, Honda issued a technical service bulletin prescribing a 2-stage repair. First, a software update, and if that failed, replacement of the starter assembly, starter relays, or a valve adjustment. Industry coverage reports that idle stop failures continued in vehicles that had received those repairs. The settlement is now closing. 20 named plaintiffs receive $7,500 each. The attorneys are seeking over $35 million in fees. Audi owners are filing the same lawsuit on a different brand. In Swinburne v. Volkswagen, filed in August 2020 in the Eastern District of Virginia, plaintiffs alleged the start-stop efficiency system in 16 different Audi model lines from 2017 through 2020 not only fails to restart properly, but also causes loss of power steering and brake assist. One plaintiff, who paid roughly $54,000 for a 2018 Audi A6, told the court that the system nearly caused him to be hit by oncoming traffic when the engine failed to restart at a green light. According to the complaint, an Audi Technical Service Bulletin acknowledged customer reports but instructed dealers that concerns about the start-stop system may actually be normal operation. Owners who brought their cars in for repair were reportedly told it is a known problem and there is no fix. Audi has not issued a recall. This is the engineering grime. A system bolted onto your truck to harvest a fuel economy credit can drop your power steering and your brakes in the middle of an intersection. And even when it works perfectly, it is eating the most expensive components in your engine bay. In 1995, your truck had a standard flooded lead-acid battery. It cost between $80 and $160. It lasted 5 to 7 years. The starter motor it was attached to was used 1 to 3 times a day. According to industry repair data, that starter accumulated about 30 to 40,000 starts over the entire life of the vehicle. It was a simple, durable component. Today, if your truck has auto start-stop, none of that is true. The system requires an absorbent glass mat battery, known as AGM. The starter is restarting the engine 30 to 60 times a day, accumulating up to 500,000 cycles over the life of the vehicle. That is roughly 10 times the duty of a conventional starter. To survive that, manufacturers had to redesign the entire starting system. The bronze sleeve bushings were replaced with sealed needle bearings. The carbon brushes were replaced with copper-infused composite. The solenoid was redesigned to decouple the mechanical engagement from the electrical current. Every part of the starter that used to be cheap is now reinforced and expensive. But the starter is not the worst of it. The battery is the worst of it. AGM batteries cost between $185 and $300, sometimes more. That is roughly double a conventional flooded battery. They are sensitive to overcharging, and they require a higher charging voltage than a standard lead-acid battery. Most auto parts store testers cannot properly diagnose them. On many luxury vehicles, including BMW, Mercedes, and Porsche, a replacement AGM has to be electronically registered to the car's charging module, or the charging system damages the new battery and voids the warranty. Skip the registration step and the AGM dies prematurely. Honda Passport owners on the official forum have documented their AIS, Auto Idle Stop system, displaying unavailable because the AGM battery had silently degraded under the constant cycling. There is also a less visible cost. When your engine shuts off, oil drains down to the pan. On every restart, your turbocharger bearings, which spin at up to 240,000 RPM at temperatures up to 950 degrees Fahrenheit, experience a momentary dry start. According to research published in peer-reviewed tribology literature, manufacturers had to develop polymer overlay engine bearings specifically to survive the wear conditions of stop-start cycling. A 2023 SAE international study referenced in industry repair data found that starters in urban delivery vehicles failed 30% sooner than starters in highway-driven cars. Read those numbers in order. Battery cost doubled. Starter cycles 10 times higher. Turbo bearings redesigned. Engine bearings redesigned. All to claim a 4 to 5% improvement on an EPA fuel economy test. This is not engineering progress. It is engineering tribute. They are charging you more for a truck that is fighting against itself just to give the regulator a line item on a compliance spreadsheet. And that same regulatory ecosystem has now made it illegal for you to leave the engine running on your own. The final insult is this: the same regulatory machinery that forced your truck to shut its engine off automatically has also made it illegal for you to leave it running manually. According to compilations published by the Alternative Fuels Data Center and the EPA itself, 31 states and the District of Columbia now have anti-idling laws on the books. Many were enacted or expanded between 2008 and 2020. They are not all aimed at commercial trucks. Many apply to passenger vehicles. Several include citizen reporting bounty systems. In New York City, idling for more than 3 minutes carries a fine of $350 to $2,000. Citizens who report a violation receive 25% of the fine as a bounty. In Washington, D.C., the limit is also 3 minutes with a fine up to $1,000. In Las Vegas, idling a diesel truck for more than 15 minutes can carry a fine of up to $10,000. In Virginia, commercial vehicle violations can run up to $25,000. In New York State, heavy-duty trucks over 8,500 pounds face fines from $500 to $18,000 per fleet. In California, under Title 13, Section 2485 of the Code of Regulations, diesel vehicles over 10,000 pounds are limited to 5 minutes of idling, and violations carry fines from $300 to $1,000 per day. In Wyoming, under Statutes 31-5-505 and 31-5-509, idling outside a business or residential area is simply illegal. Full stop. That is the tip of the iceberg. The deeper layer is mechanical. According to California Air Resources Board regulations, all model year 2008 and newer heavy-duty diesel engines sold in the state must be equipped with non-programmable engine shutdown systems that automatically shut the engine down after 5 minutes of idling. The manufacturer's software is now the cop in the cab. The driver does not have the option to override it. Stack the layers on top of each other and look at what has happened. Auto start-stop is not federally required, but you cannot permanently disable it. Anti-idling laws are state level, but they apply in the largest economic regions of the country. Heavy-duty diesel engines have a 5-minute auto kill burned into the engine controller. The 1972 truck driver decided when to start, when to idle, when to shut down. The 2024 truck driver does none of those things. The engine starts when software says so. The engine stops when software or law says so. And the bill for the AGM battery, for the reinforced starter, for the lawsuits, for the citizen-reported fine comes to you. This is not an accident. This is a design choice by regulators and by automakers operating together inside the credit trading system. You are not the customer. You are the host. So what is the solution? The first move is the easiest one. On most vehicles, there is a button on the dash that disables auto start-stop for the current drive. Press it. Press it every time. Aftermarket modules that disable the system permanently exist, and as of February 2026, with the EPA pulling the compliance credit, the regulatory pressure to keep the system enabled has collapsed. When the AGM battery dies, replace it with the correct AGM type. Never substitute a standard flooded battery into a stop-start vehicle. You will damage the charging system. If you are shopping used, the Honda and Acura models inside the 2.2 million vehicle NHTSA investigation should be avoided unless you have written confirmation of the 10-year warranty extension. Know the anti-idling law of every state you drive through. And remember this: a 1995 truck with a manual ignition, a flooded battery, and no software in the engine bay holds its value because it is operationally honest. The smart money is bypassing the system, registering the right battery, and watching the credit trading regime that built the auto stop scam unwind in real time. Stop letting the credit market drive your truck.